just want to just thank each and everything going. Okay. I just want to thank each and every one of you for attending my official launch of Stats and Situations, the Game Plan to Success. Also, I want to thank each and every one of you for the many birthday wishes, and as I get younger and younger each year. But you guys don't know how much the support that you give me, not only on the field but off the field, how much it really means to me. And I just want to thank each and every one from the bottom of my heart for all the support that you give me, because when I'm away from home, I really don't have much family, and for you guys all to make me feel like I'm a part of the family, it really means a lot to me, and it's something that I will cherish for the rest of my life. And I enjoy coming here every year because I know that I'm going to be a part of something special. And now, only if we can give you guys a championship ring, that would be one of the ultimate joys. You know, I want to thank all my friends and family from back home, elementary friends from Atlanta, my buddies here, and each and every one of you again, my teammates, my coaches, for all that they've helped me accomplish and for all the support that they're giving me. And you know, they always joke about it's either I'm kissing babies or I'm selling books, and they always give me a hard time about that, but I just enjoy what I do, and I think that when you have a passion, that's what's important, and if it drives you to do good things, you gotta follow it, and just to have the opportunity to reach out to whoever, whether they're kids, whether they're adults, and to extend a message that will help them. I think that it's something that should be doing, and I believe that everything should be done with a purpose, and that's something that I try to do in my life as well. Now, my book is entitled Stats and Situations, the Game Plan to Success, and a lot of people always ask me, why do I write? First of all, I write because I enjoy writing, and if it wasn't for my 11th grade teacher, Ms. Feldmeyer, I don't think that I would be standing here in front of you saying that I wrote not only my first book, but my second book. And it was because I was sort of I was the type of person who would just do things to get by. And every time I would pass my paper in, she would give it back and make me write again. And she'd say, write more, and write more. I said, Ms. Feldmeyer, it's a good paper, write more. And to the point where I started enjoying my writing, and I started reading, and I said, you know what, I am a pretty good writer, and it became something that stuck with me. So without that influence, I don't think I would be standing right here in front of you. But the reason why I wrote this book, Stats and Situation, is because, for one, it's a book that's centered on one of my expertises, which is baseball. And I believe that there are a lot of things about the game that we can pull from. I know we all know that we like to compare baseball to the game of life, or to life, right? Mm-hmm. And that there are many lessons that you can learn from the game, and the most common ones we hear are overcoming failure, teamwork, perseverance. But I believe that the game of baseball can teach us many more lessons that a lot of us may or may not know that exist in the game. And so I wanted to get a little more detailed into the game, utilizing elements such as game scenarios, the statistics, the statistical categories of the game, and really show how those concepts could apply to life. And I hope that I did a very good job in doing that. I believe so. But I just want to ask, by show of hands, how many of you in here have learned lessons from the game of baseball? And do any of you mind sharing any of the lessons that you guys learned from watching the game, either playing the game, whether it's softball, or even kickball probably, but
softball, I played catcher for many years.
And what was a lesson that you learned that the game of softball taught you?
It taught me to be tolerant and to work. You can't, one part doesn't work without the other 8 parts.
Exactly.
And if you can all work together, that's...
So pretty much you learned the team element. And one thing about baseball and sports in general is that you have to work together. they talk about baseball being a individual team sport in a sense because there's so many elements, whereas we're on our own islands. When I'm in left field, I saw a game yesterday. I was out there stumbling for a ball over my head. I was on my own little island. Everything was singled out on me, and that's sort of the individual aspect of the game. But even more so when we're dealing with our individual stats, and we have to really, be confident enough as players to kind of deal with the scrutiny that we can get, because every single thing that we do is overly watched. And when we're on our islands, it really takes a special person to be able to overcome the type of stuff that we go through. But even though it's an individual sport, you still can't play without your teammates. And it's a collective effort that you have to make in order to come out on top. You can't turn a double play without the second baseman and the first baseman. You can't get a fly ball hit to you if the pitcher's not throwing it to the catcher. So even though there are individual components of the game, it still is considered a team sport. But one of the biggest lessons that I learned from the game of baseball was it taught me how to appreciate the journey. And I say that because coming up through my career, it was pretty tough. I was an underdog as a kid. I was really small. I was never the fastest. I was never the strongest. But the one thing that separated me from a lot of people is that I always outworked them. I worked the hardest. You'll always see me in the backyard throwing balls off the wall. You'll always see me even playing basketball, shooting free throws, football, playing catch. Anything that I did, I wanted to be the best at, because I thought that was important, because I was sort of a perfectionist. I didn't hear that. But one thing that it taught me, it was perseverance. And one thing I learned about the journey is that in order for you to succeed in life, you have to continue to persevere. You have to continue to work hard, but you have to appreciate all the things that you go through while you're going to where you want to be. And that's what happens in baseball. It's a long season. Some days we're having good games. Some days we're having bad games. But throughout the course of a season, throughout the course of a year, it's a journey that we go through. A lot of ups and downs, a lot of peaks and valleys, and a lot of roads and twists and turns that we have to go through. And so that was one of the important things that I learned going through the game, because if you in your life don't appreciate the journey, then what are we really learning? What are we really getting from life? Because it's those things on the way to success that is allowing us actually to be successful. Because if we don't learn from the ups and downs, if we don't learn from the mistakes, then we might as well not be doing anything. So that was one of the biggest lessons that I learned in my life. I went to the University of Miami, coming from Westchester High School, where I was drafted, and going through the University of Miami by way of Loyola Marymount. Okay, let's start here. I went to Little League. I had made myself one of the premier outfielders. One day I just happened to just rob a home run, and next thing you know, that solidified my role as a center fielder. And then from that, I started to elevate my status. People started to take notice of me. Went to high school. I tore it up there, but yet nobody wanted to pick me up. No scholarship offers. And once again, I'm in the underdog role. So I walked on at Loyola Marymount, didn't play. Once again, underdog, though I felt I should have played. But I had that much confidence in my game. I said, you know what? I'm going to go to where my heart is. I'm going to go to the University of Miami. And I went there, and I started at a powerhouse. I led the team to 2 World Series appearances, and I ended up leaving Miami undrafted. And so that was another situation when I talk about the journey that I went through, because I could have easily gave up, but I kept pushing. And I said, you know what? If I want something that bad, it's worth fighting for. And I believe 100% in my mind that I would get to where I needed to be. I just had to keep persevering. So I went and played college summer ball and in the Cape Cod League, and I was picked up. I was not drafted, but I was picked up as a free agent by the Cleveland Indians. And I went to Cleveland, everybody's looking, who is this guy? You know, this undrafted guy. But he's turning it up, he's batting 400. And it was like, he just came out of nowhere. And I'm just thinking like, well, okay. Batted 500 in high school. I led the team in Miami 371. Really, I don't think that's nowhere, but I realized that the fact that I didn't get drafted, people thought I was just an enigma of a person. So I tore it up for 3 straight years, and I thought I deserved a shot in the major leagues, and lo and behold, I got left exposed to the Rule 5 draft. So essentially, I felt like Cleveland didn't want me. And I ended up getting picked up by St. Louis, and they gave me my first big league shot. And I had to make the team in spring training. And it was kind of one of those things like, now you got your shot, Brian. This is what you wanted, and now you have the opportunity to make something happen. And I was like a kid in the amusement park because I'm playing around guys like Troy Gloss, Albert Pujols, Yadier Molina. I mean, guys you see on TV. Then I'm playing against guys like Tom Glavine and Ken Griffey and all those guys. I'm just like, these guys were people that I admired growing up when I was a kid, and now I'm playing with them. Like, I got to get to the big leagues. And I played so well that I end up batting second on the team, or being second on the team in batting average, and I made the team. And it went to the last day. But you know how Murphy Law works. My last at bat, I dig in, look at the pitch, throws me a curveball. I think the curveball is going to break. So I'm watching it in. The next thing you know, I get hit right in the nose. And the only thing I'm thinking is like, I hope I'm still on this team, and I hope that my nose didn't break. But through God's grace, it just was a flesh wound, and I'm still on the team, wasn't on a DL, and my dream of becoming a major leaguer, it happened. I was able to call my mom, woke her up at 3 in the morning. I said, Mom, we made it. And for me, that was a culmination of a journey. It was a culmination of everything that I've done to get to this point. Me believing in myself for those, and a culmination of those who believed in me. All the times when people told me about the odds where I said, well, I'll be 100% of that 1%. Those things, it made me look back and just say, that's the power of not only believing in yourself, but that's the power of perseverance. And that was one of the biggest lessons that I learned from the game of baseball. It taught me not only to believe in myself, it taught me to keep fighting. And that's what I want to just give to you guys before I go into the actual reading of my book, is that, you know, we may experience times and trials in which we feel like, you know, we may not be able to overcome. But what happens is when we're going through life and when we're going through our journey, it's actually testing us, but it's preparing us. It's like working out. It's preparing us for the task ahead. We may not realize it. One of the things, I was doing a speech a few weeks ago, and we were talking about the foundation. But everything is based on foundation. And I talk about the building blocks. You know, we, as kids, we get these blocks. We got A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. But when you really look at it, those are the building blocks of our lives, of our education, of those things that we learn. And when we follow the journey, we're actually on a path of building something. We're starting with a foundation, those learning lessons that will allow for us to be the type of people we want to be, to do the type of things that we want to do, and to achieve the type of successes that we want to achieve. And so, going back to the book, I wanted to utilize the game of baseball, not only because it's something that we love, but also because it is something that we can use to really help us be better in life. And I just really want to say, appreciate the journey. Because without the journey, we don't have anything. So I would like to just take this opportunity to tell you guys about my opening day. If my lovely friend Angela was passing me along a book because I did not prepare myself. But opening day was a special time for me because I never could imagine how opening day would be. You know, you think about it, you see all these ceremonies, and it's like, wow, man, how is it gonna feel when I'm in that stadium? How is it gonna feel when I got 40,000 people watching me? And when I got there, it didn't even match, because I couldn't match the feeling of how I was feeling inside. And so I would just like to take this opportunity to just read about my experience from opening day, which is actually the introduction, hence opening day. So opening day was a day like no other. There was a slight drizzle, go figure, that cold evening, but it may as well have been a clear sky because nothing was going to ruin my moment. I was nervous, but excited because in that sold out crowd of 40,000 plus sat my mother and girlfriend, my support system. At the moment, I couldn't have asked for more. Well, maybe being in the starting lineup for that game would have helped. I had always heard about the amazing pageant the St. Louis Cardinals staged for opening day with the world-renowned Budweiser Clydesdales leading a procession around the field. Every player on the team was individually seated in the back of the latest model convertible. Now here I was, waiting behind the right field wall, marveling at the sight of the behemoth equines. The horses were big too. Even more awesome was the presence of National Baseball Hall of Fame legend Stan the Man Musial, the running Redbird Lou Brock, Robert Bob Gibson, and the Wizard Osborne Earl Ozzie Smith. Later, I was seated in my own Ford Mustang with the top down. I wanted to savor every moment of this, and boy, was I ready. I remember everything like it was yesterday. I waited at the gates opening while they announced my name. As soon as the car started rolling, I pulled out my handheld video camera and I started recording. The experience was unforgettable as people waved and tried to get a cameo in my video. My imagination had not come close to picturing that real-life experience. The ride seemed to occur in slow motion, specifically for me as I soaked it all in. There was even a part in the video that recorded my mom and my girlfriend screaming as I passed by. That night, I captured it all. At least for the moment, I thought I had. After departing my car, I lined up alongside my other teammates on the foul line, continuing to record. Lou Brock said, "Hey son, hand me that camera so I can get you in it as well." As I handed it to him, I began to explain how to work the camera and mentioned that it was already on and that all he needed to do was point it at me. Ozzie Smith, standing beside Lou, jokingly remarked, "Man, you don't know what you're doing. You're gonna mess up his video." And Lou replied that he had it handled, but I made sure that I reiterated that it was already set up to record. I went back in line and watched the rest of the ceremony. A trained bald eagle flew from the structure behind center field and landed on the outstretched arm of his trainer who was standing on the mound. There were other announcements as well, along with the singing of the national anthem. Eventually, my video camera was returned and I continued to record the rest of the ceremony. Later, when I watched the video footage, I found that from the time that the camera was put into Lou's hands, the camera was not recording. I guess I should have listened to Ozzie. The rest of the night went well in my opinion, and although that game was eventually ended due to rain, nothing could tarnish my joy from that experience. My mom was so proud, and I knew that back home my dad, my brothers, and my sisters were just as proud. I realized the value of hard work and determination that I had invested in my career. If only life can always be this sweet. But I did learn one valuable lesson. Never let Lou touch my camera again. Oh, sorry, Lou. But that was my experience from opening day. And even though there was a technical blunder, that's a story that I can tell. I can tell my kids. And that was something me and Lou Brock, who will call me grandson, something we always joke about. But it's moments like that about the game. Not only do it teach you life lessons, but it also gives you memorable moments that you can always cherish for the rest of your life. I mean, how many people can actually say that they have a Hall of Famer mess up their video camera, right? And not only just any Hall of Famer, one of the all-time greats, all-time base stealers, Lou Brock, and one of the nicest people that you could ever meet. So the journey, when I say appreciate it, you have to, because at the end of the day, you don't know where it's going to lead, and you don't know the type of memories that you're going to get from it. I got many memories, like home runs. I got first hit. First pitch I saw was a base hit. And I remember my second home run was in Detroit. I hit off of Kenny Rogers, a well-known pitcher. I was able to see so many different, and play in so many different ballparks. I was able to be on TV. I mean, it's just moments like that that I could never imagine. I never imagined myself being on TV. I never imagined myself playing with Hall of Famers or future Hall of Famers. And more so, I just never imagined myself making a lot of money either like that. But those moments are sweet. And it all happened from the journey that I started as a kid. But I do want to say one thing before I end it. Even though we get to destinations in our lives, the journey never ends. We're constantly on a path to greatness. We're constantly moving towards something. See, I honestly look at destinations or achievements or goals as endpoints, not as the final. Because, or not even as endpoints, as springboards. Because once you reach something, once you achieve something, you're always looking for the next thing to do. And even though I made it to the major leagues, I realized that that wasn't it in my life. That wasn't the end all be all. And now those experiences right now allows me to do the type of things that I'm doing. Still able to play baseball, but I'm also able to have an impact in people's lives. But even more so, you guys have an impact in my life. And before I leave, I just want to say thank you to my host dad, John Miles, for putting up with me. Because I know sometimes I can be sort of a recluse and just go to my room, close the door, and get to writing. But now that there's no more writing, at least for now, you know, I'll be more visible. So, but I do want to thank you for all you've done for the past couple of years, and I'm looking forward to, you know, getting you on that ping pong table, because he has whipped my butt a couple of times in ping pong. But thank you again, and I love you, and I really appreciate everything. And thank you all for the support. Appreciate everything that you've done for not just myself, for the team, and all the things you do in the community. Thank you.
Did you tell them all it was your birthday today?
Oh yeah, it's my birthday too. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Barton.
Thanks, Barton.
talk a lot too.
Yeah.
So
It's all
I'm
good.
here to answer questions if you guys have questions.
Hey Brian?
Yes.
When you're ready to put the paddle down and pick up food, you get with me if you come to the house.
Hey,
I got a 9-foot table.
let's go.
It's raining now.
You might be
But like I said, thank you again. Is there any questions anybody would like to ask? I am free to answer anything.
Will there be book 3?
There will be another book.
There you go.
It's already
Not right now, John, because we got a lot of playing ping pong to do. But I have about 2 more ideas in my head about writing. Because once again, there is a passion behind what I do, and I'm a big believer that if you have a message, whatever it may be, that you should not keep it in, and you should share it, especially if it has the ability to have an impact to change somebody's life. Because I mean, one life is more than enough, and I really want to.
Good.
Once you finish baseball, what are your aspirations after that? You seem like the kind of person that just aims higher and higher and higher, which is an awesome attribute, but what do you see yourself doing after baseball?
Well, I try to start doing the things right now. I don't believe in backup plans, so to speak. And I know you hear a lot of people say, you know, what's your B plan and things like that. I say, well, why just wait? Why just not do it now? I really love to travel, and I have a goal in my life to visit every country in the world.
Get your cash and take you to Australia.
Hey, I already been there, though, so I don't do repeats.
Whereabouts?
Sydney.
You went to the worst place in Australia.
So fun. So now I gotta go back, see?
Right.
But I love to travel. There's so many places. I've learned so many things, and that's another journey, or part of journeys that I've been a part of that's taught me a lot. And even if you read my first book, you know, I talked about my trip to Ethiopia, and it was that trip that actually changed my whole perspective of a lot of things that I do. I always like to impact and help people, but it was that experience that I had out there that actually got me proactive in doing the things that I'm doing now. So I definitely will continue traveling. I will go back and finish my last 5 classes of school. And I know a lot of people are like,
Yeah, we've been waiting.
And hopefully I see myself opening up my own engineering firm. But once again, I just want to live a fulfilled life, and I want to keep pushing myself, and I ask that each and every one of you continue to live fulfilled lives in your own lives, because that's really important. And it's important to have purpose behind everything you do, but I believe if you're not living a fulfilled life, you're not living. And that's one thing through example that I want to continue to show. Anyone else? Do I think we're going to play today? Probably not.
It's canceled. Jake texted.
All right, double-header tomorrow.
Yeah, I got a text. Jake said it was canceled. Jake Brown.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See? So now party time.
That's right. Mama, bring out the food.
Now, drinks on John. But yeah, like I said, it's all about purpose. It's all about finding meaning in everything you do. If you look at my, and I'm sorry that I just really blunder, but I know they're not here, but I just want to thank my editor. I want to thank everybody who had something to do with me getting the finished product out there, my book cover design, all my friends, and once again, you guys' support, because without them, there wouldn't be this. And I wanted to point out the book cover design. In the back there's a scorecard, obviously, because when you see the scorecard, you can get every component of the game told to you. Hence, that's the situation. But if you look at the person, the figure, it's made from my personal mission statement in my life. And that's really important, because I really try to follow that. I try to follow that. And I tell people to develop mission statements in our lives, because it's really important to have meaning behind what you do. but it's also important to have something hold you accountable. And when you have those guidelines to hold you accountable, it keeps you on track. It keeps you on the path. It keeps you fighting through that journey. And so I try to put things in writing. I try to have things like my mission statement. I try to put out books. I try to put out videos, because not only does it allow for me to impact and inspire, but now it holds me accountable, because I got product out there. And if you all see me doing something against what I'm preaching, then it makes me invalid.
Well, we'll tell you.
You know, exactly. You will tell me. So it also, so it goes, pretty much goes twofold. You know, it's inspiring, or hopefully impacting, but it's also holding me accountable. And I think that that's really important. So when you give yourself meaning, when you write those things down, and you put something out there, you have to realize that now there's people watching you. And you have to be able to hold yourself to a certain standard. Now, I'm not saying I don't make mistakes. You know, I'm not saying I don't do things. I heard I heard that. I got good ears too. That's another thing baseball.
Now, those are the stories we want to get.
And so, but it's all about accountability. You hear that? So when you do stuff bad, when you're not doing your homework,
Listen, Kevin.
you got to be accountable. You too. You know, it's nobody else's fault but our own. And it's really important to continue to hold yourself to a high standard, because we all have greatness in us, and we all have the ability to do great things. We just have to believe that we can do great things. But then after we believe that we can do great things, we have to do great things.
Aim high, achieve high. That's what I tell him.
I learned a new phrase in French. I'm learning French too. I'm doing everything. But, and don't laugh at me if my pronunciation is off, but the saying goes, vouloir, c'est pouvoir, which means where there's a will, there's a way. And I really believe that when you have a will, you know, the way will should reveal itself. And so continue to pursue your passions, continue to believe in your greatness, and just go out there and do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.